Have you ever faced a moment, like a moment of just intense, relentless criticism, where it feels like absolutely everyone is just waiting for you to fail?
Oh, yeah. The noise can get deafening.
Right, and the only way out, the only way to quiet that noise is to completely dismantle what you're doing and just reinvent your entire approach.
It is the ultimate test of nerve, honestly. I mean,
Mm.
you're standing on the edge and you have to make a choice. You either stubbornly double down on a failing strategy, or, you actually have the courage to break your own system apart to find a new way forward.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to today's deep dive, because today, Tuesday, June 23, 2026, we saw that exact high-stakes scenario play out on the pitch at Houston Stadium.
Here's something else.
We're looking at the dramatic 5-0 victory by Portugal over Uzbekistan in Group K of the 2026 World Cup.
Which, I mean, on paper, a 5-0 scoreline suggests a simple, clean domination, right? Like a heavyweight comfortably knocking out a featherweight without even breaking a sweat.
Sure, but our mission today is to look way beyond that flashy scoreboard. We're pulling from international match reports, tactical breakdowns from the coach's room, and even raw, unfiltered fan reactions.
Yeah, because we really want to understand the hidden mechanics of how Portugal silenced their doubters.
Exactly. And we have to remember the context here. They came into this match facing an absolute storm of media criticism after that really dismal 1-1 opening draw against DR Congo.
The environment around the Portuguese camp was incredibly tense. And, on the flip side of that narrative, we're also going to explore the heartbreak of Uzbekistan.
Yeah, a team making their historic World Cup debut.
Right, who just found themselves caught in the middle of that whole Portuguese storm.
Okay, let's unpack this,
Yeah.
because we absolutely cannot talk about Portugal's tactical turnaround today without first addressing the 41-year-old elephant in the room,
Cristiano Ronaldo.
the one and only, a player who shattered multiple historical records in a single afternoon. I mean,
Yeah.
going into this match, the media narrative was just heavy.
Oh, totally. He hadn't scored in 10 major tournament games.
Right. And for a player of his caliber, a 10-game drought is treated like a national crisis.
It really is.
But today, he scored twice. Once in the 6th minute, and again in the 39th minute.
And those two moments cemented some truly staggering numbers. I mean, with those goals, he became the first male player ever to score in 6 different World Cups.
6.
Just think about the span of time that covers, stretching all the way back to the tournament in Germany in 2006.
It kind of bends the mind to think about playing at that level for 2 decades. And he also surpassed the absolute legend Eusebio, who had 9 World Cup goals, to become Portugal's all-time leading World Cup scorer with 10.
And he is now the second oldest goal scorer in World Cup history, too, sitting only behind Cameroon's Roger Milla, who's 42 back in 1994.
The execution of the goals was clinical, too. His first one was this emphatic near-post cutback finish. João Cancelo reaches the byline, puts the cross in, and Ronaldo is perfectly positioned to hammer it home from 6 yards out.
Textbook. And his second was a beautiful angled finish off a through ball from Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, and after that first goal, the cameras caught him yelling, "I am back!" And he almost immediately posted on social media after the match just 3 words, "We are here."
Yeah, he definitely felt it.
But I want to push back a little on the prevailing media narrative. The idea that Ronaldo suddenly woke up, drank from the fountain of youth, and just reinvented himself today.
Oh, I'm curious to hear where you're going with this.
Well, if you look at the fan reactions, we were digging through Reddit post-match threads, the fans are pointing out something fascinating. They're arguing that Ronaldo actually played the exact same way he did in the 1-1 draw against DR Congo.
Really?
Yeah, he was making the same runs, asking for the same ball, operating the exact same spaces. So my question for you is this. Is Ronaldo still the high-performance engine of this Portuguese team, or has he just become, like, the shiny hood ornament on a car that finally got tuned up?
Man, that is a brilliant analogy. To answer it, we have to look at what Portugal's manager, Roberto Martinez, said after the game.
What did he say?
When he was asked about Ronaldo's turnaround, he replied, "Nothing gives you a better assessment of your career than longevity in football."
Interesting.
But leaning into your car analogy, the tactical analysts completely agree with those Reddit fans. Ronaldo didn't change his individual game. His success today was entirely dependent on a massive structural shift happening behind him.
Wait, walk me through that. If the engine was rebuilt, how did Martinez actually change the system? Because against Congo, they looked totally static. They could barely move the ball up the pitch.
Right, so when Martinez took over, he heavily favored a 4-3-3 formation.
Okay.
It was rigid, it was traditional, and against Congo, it was highly predictable.
Right. Everyone saw it coming.
Exactly. So today, he abandoned that static approach entirely. When Portugal had the ball, they shifted into a highly dynamic 3-2-5 shape.
Hold on. A 3-2-5. That sounds like you're just throwing 5 guys forward and hoping for the best. I mean, if you pull a midfielder back into the defense to create a back 3, don't you completely lose control of the center of the pitch?
You would think so, yeah. But it is all about rotation and confusing the opposing team's pressing triggers.
Okay, how does that work?
You start with your center backs, Ruben Dias, and either Antonio Silva or Gonçalo Inácio. To form that back 3 in possession, a midfielder, usually Vitinha, drops deep into the defensive line.
Ah, okay.
Alternatively, Diogo Dalot inverts from the fullback position to make it a 3.
Quick pause for a translation. When you say Dalot inverts from the fullback position, what does that actually look like for someone watching at home?
Yeah, good question. Traditionally, a fullback like Dalot would run straight up and down the sideline near the touchline.
Right.
But when a fullback inverts, instead of hugging the sideline, they physically step inward, moving toward the center circle of the pitch to act like an extra central midfielder.
Oh, wow. So they just cram into the middle.
Exactly. It completely overloads the middle of the field and confuses the opposing wingers who suddenly just don't know whether to follow him inside or stay out wide.
That makes a lot of sense. So you have this solid, slightly unorthodox base of 3 at the back, plus 2 players sitting just ahead of them.
Yeah, and those 2 players sitting ahead are João Neves and Bruno Fernandes. They act as the crucial connectors, like the bridge between the defense and the attack.
Okay, got it.
And this is where the mechanism really clicks. Your wide players are instructed to hold extreme width. They are practically standing on the chalk of the sidelines.
Ah, so by standing on the chalk, they are forcing the opposing defenders to spread out and cover them, stretching the defense like a rubber band.
Precisely the intended effect. By stretching the opposing backline out, they open up the half spaces in the middle for players to drive into.
Another tactical term we should probably define here. What is a half space and why is it so dangerous?
So if you divide the football pitch vertically into 5 imaginary lanes, right?
Okay, 5 lanes.
You have the 2 wide lanes on the edges and the 1 central lane right down the middle. The half spaces are those 2 channels running perfectly between the center and the wings.
So right in the gaps.
Yes. They are the most dangerous areas on a pitch because they sit right in the seam between an opposing center back and their fullback.
So nobody knows whose job it is to guard it.
Exactly. If an attacker gets the ball there, the defense usually panics because no single defender is clearly responsible for that zone.
And changing those spatial dynamics completely changes who thrives in the system. Because going back to those fan forums, there was a really sharp observation about João Felix.
Oh, yeah.
He gets heavily criticized for being, wasteful with the ball. But fans notice that he actually fits this specific 3-2-5 positioning much better than Bernardo Silva does out on the wing.
Well, Bernardo Silva is a phenomenal talent, but his instinct is to dictate play, to slow the tempo and orchestrate.
Right.
Felix is much more comfortable operating as a pure attacker in those ambiguous half spaces. He acts like a ghost, finding pockets of room between defenders and playing quick, decisive passes off Ronaldo. He just fits the geometry of that 5-man attacking line much better.
Wow. And because Portugal was monopolizing the ball with his new shape and stretching the pitch so drastically, Uzbekistan had no choice but to pack 10 men inside their own penalty box to survive.
Yeah, they were pinned back.
But when you are facing a low, compressed defensive block like that, passing through it becomes almost mathematically impossible.
It really does.
You have to find alternate mechanisms to break through, which leads us directly to the set pieces.
Portugal clearly spent hours in the lab preparing for this exact scenario.
Go for sure.
Aston Villa and Portugal's set-piece coach, Austin McPhee, clearly put in some incredibly detailed work behind the scenes.
Because the second goal of the game, in the 17th minute, was a total masterpiece of misdirection. Odeljan Komarbekov gives up a free kick just outside the penalty area.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo goes into his iconic theatrical routine, the deep breath, the wide stance, the paced-out backward strides. Everyone in the stadium, the millions watching at home, and most importantly, the Uzbekistan goalkeeper of Dvokid Nemetov is 100% certain Ronaldo is taking this shot.
Oh, absolutely. The intimidation factor of that routine is a weapon in itself. The goalkeeper is already bracing for a massive strike.
But Ronaldo acts as a total decoy. He runs up, leaves the ball, and Nuno Mendes sprints around from a completely different angle and whips it beautifully past the frozen keeper.
It was amazing.
After the game, Ronaldo even told reporters, "I told Nino, let's trick the goalkeeper. He'll think it's me." It was like watching a perfectly executed magic trick on a football pitch.
What's fascinating here is how Martinez used this new blueprint to protect his star player.
What do you mean?
Well, Martinez has taken a heavy amount of criticism for being too loyal to Ronaldo. The main argument is that a 41-year-old forward simply does not have the physiological capacity to press high up the pitch for 90 minutes.
Right. And if your main striker doesn't press the opposing defenders when they have the ball, your entire team's defensive structure can get easily bypassed and exposed.
Exactly. But in this 3-2-5 system, Martinez found a way to perfectly mask those pressing flaws. The mechanism is brilliantly simple. Portugal just monopolized possession. They held 68% of the ball in this match.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You do not need your 41-year-old striker to press if the other team never actually has the ball. They used possession as their primary defensive tool, forcing Uzbekistan's defense into absolute submission.
That structural dominance looks absolute on paper. But, the momentum of this entire World Cup could have shifted on a single, highly controversial whistle.
It really could have.
We need to look at the other side of the pitch now. Let's talk about the emotional weight carried by Uzbekistan.
Their journey to this tournament is deeply profound. I mean, they are the first Central Asian country to ever reach the World Cup finals.
Which is huge.
It is. And they achieved this milestone exactly 25 years after their independence.
And the sources outline how they had to completely rebuild their national sports infrastructure from the ground up after a devastating tragedy in their past. To go from that dark period to stepping onto the pitch at Houston Stadium on the world's biggest stage, the emotional stakes are astronomical.
Oh, beyond astronomical.
And they aren't just a feel-good story happy to be tourists either. They are led by head coach Fabio Cannavaro, a man who captained Italy to the World Cup trophy in 2006.
Yeah, and Cannavaro built a squad of absolute warriors. You have Eldor Shomurodov, their captain and all-time leading scorer with 44 international goals.
A real threat.
Very much so. You have Abosbek Faizulev, the 22-year-old who scored their historic first-ever World Cup goal against Colombia in their previous match.
Incredible.
And anchoring their defense is Abdulkadir Kusanov, a highly rated center back who commands a $45.5 million transfer value playing for Manchester City.
Wait, $45 million?
Yeah, he's the real deal. Kusanov actually made a dramatic, acrobatic goal line clearance today that specifically denied Ronaldo a hat-trick.
Wow, so this is a team with real talent and real grit, which sets the stage for the 29th minute. Portugal is leading 2-0, the stadium is rocking, the Portuguese fans are celebrating. Yeah, but Uzbekistan gets a rare sequence of possession. Aziz Geniev, one of their star midfielders, finds a pocket of space, drives forward, and fires a brilliant right-footed shot from way outside the bar.
Unbelievable strike.
It screams past the Portuguese goalkeeper Diogo Costa and hits the back of the net. The Uzbekistan bench just erupts. It is 2-1.
The underdogs suddenly have a lifeline. The entire psychological landscape of the match alters in a split second.
And here's where it turns. The Moroccan referee, Jalal Jade, gets a call on his earpiece. He jogs over to the VAR monitor on the sideline. He watches the replay, turns back to the pitch, and blows his whistle, crossing his arms to signal a disallowed goal.
Oh, man.
He rules that there was a foul on João Cancelo in the build-up, way before the shot was even taken. So the goal is erased. The score reverts to 2-0.
It is just a devastating, crushing blow for a team running purely on adrenaline and national pride.
Yeah. And looking at the tactical reports, they constantly mention Portugal's rest defense being notoriously fragile. First, for the listener, what exactly does rest defense mean in practice?
Sure. Rest defense refers to the structural shape a team maintains with their defensive players while the rest of the team is attacking.
Like an insurance policy.
Exactly. It is essentially your insurance policy. If you lose the ball high up the pitch, your rest defense dictates whether you can immediately win it back or if the opponent can easily slice through you on a counterattack.
Okay, so putting those pieces together for a second. Put yourself in that exact moment. If that VAR decision doesn't happen and that goal stands making it 2-1, what happens to Portugal's fragile 3-2-5 rest defense under that sudden pressure? Did VAR basically save Portugal from a full-blown crisis?
That is the pivotal what if of the tournament so far. When you play a 3-2-5, you are incredibly exposed to counterattacks if you lose the ball because you have committed so many bodies forward.
Right.
If that goal stands, Uzbekistan suddenly has immense belief. They would have defended with more aggression, disrupted the passing lanes, and looked to actively exploit that fragile Portuguese transition defense. A 2-1 game creates real panic.
But
Instead, having that goal erased completely shattered the structural integrity of the White Wolves' game plan.
yeah, you could physically see their emotional discipline short-circuit in real time. Once that foundational belief cracked, their defensive geometry just fell apart.
Completely. Instead of the match turning into a tense, gritty 2-1 dogfight where Portugal's untested defense is placed under immense stress, Uzbekistan simply succumbed to the pressure. The psychological weight of having your historic momentum-shifting moment snatched away by a video monitor was just too much for a team already fighting a steep uphill battle.
Yeah, and because their collective spirit was broken, the resistance just melted away, which leads us directly into the final stretch of the game and the late-game rout.
Yeah, it got ugly fast. In the 60th minute, the situation goes from bad to worse for Uzbekistan. A low, hard corner comes in from Bruno Fernandes. It squirms awkwardly off Kusanov's leg, and the unfortunate Uzbekistan keeper, Abduvo Kidnematov, trying to react instinctively, ends up pawing the ball across his own line for an own goal.
Oh, that is a brutal, highly visible mistake for a keeper on the world stage.
Heartbreaking. And then, in the 87th minute, Rafael Leão, coming off the bench with fresh legs, hits a rising, unstoppable drive straight into the top corner to make it 5-0.
Just a complete dismantling. And after the game, Roberto Martinez talked about the team's evolution. He said, there are times when you need a game like the first one in order to grow in the tournament. Today, we saw a team with the same attitude, but with greater maturity.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? We have this massive 5-0 victory. Ronaldo is breaking historic records left and right, and the tactical system looks completely revamped and deadly. Are we looking at the undeniable favorites to win the World Cup?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we really need to exercise some serious caution before crowning Portugal. Yes, the 3-2-5 system operated beautifully today, but let's look closely at the context provided by our sources.
Right.
One of the match reports specifically noted that Uzbekistan's defense today would have struggled in a Masters game, referring to an exhibition match for retired older players.
Ouch. That is a brutal assessment from the press. But it raises a fair point, right? Is scoring goals against a demoralized, debuting team really absolute proof that Martinez is a tactical genius?
It highlights a vital tactical reality. You have to remember the deep doubts that existed just a few days ago. In their opening match against DR Congo, Portugal generated only 0.75 expected goals.
Okay, you just threw 0.75 expected goals out there.
Yeah.
Translate that metric for someone who doesn't live inside sports analytics spreadsheets.
Right, sorry. Expected goals, or XG, is a metric that measures the quality of a team's scoring chances rather than just the raw quantity of shots.
Okay.
It calculates the probability that a specific shot will result in a goal based on historical data, things like distance to the goal, angle, and defensive pressure.
Got it.
So a total of 0.75 for an entire match means that based on the actual chances Portugal created against Congo, they weren't even statistically expected to score a single full goal. They looked incredibly shaky creatively and defensively. Overwhelming an underdog today doesn't just erase those underlying structural questions.
That's so true. I mean, it is remarkably easy to look like a visionary manager when you hold 68% possession against a team whose spirit was broken by a VAR call in the 29th minute.
Exactly. The ultimate test for this Portuguese team, and specifically for Martinez's 3-2-5 system, isn't whether they can outclass Uzbekistan in the group stage. The test is whether this system can hold up in a high-stakes knockout match.
Right.
Imagine them in a quarterfinal against Lionel Messi and Argentina. Can a back three and a double pivot survive against elite world-class attacking talent?
Well, wait, what exactly constitutes a double pivot in that scenario?
A double pivot refers to those two central midfielders sitting just in front of the defensive line. In this case, Neves and Fernandes.
Oh, okay.
Their job is to act as a shield for the defense while also initiating the attack. But against a team like Argentina, asking just two players to shield a three-man defense against incredibly fast, intricate passing could be a recipe for disaster.
Oh, definitely. If that fragile rest defense gets exposed by an elite team in transition, all the possession in the world won't save them from getting carved open.
And that is the beauty and the cruelty of tournament football. You are only ever as good as the opponent in front of you on any given day.
It truly is a tournament of extremes.
Mm.
Today, we watched an incredible duality unfold on the pitch. On one hand, you have the historic, record-shattering heights of Cristiano Ronaldo and a complete tactical awakening from Portugal. They engineered a mechanism to completely monopolize the game.
And on the other hand, we witnessed a bitter, heart-wrenching reality check for a resilient, history-making Uzbekistan side.
Wow.
A team that overcame unimaginable national hurdles just to get to Houston, only to have their momentum halted by the slimmest of digital margins.
It is a stark reminder that in World Cup football, the line between a triumphant renaissance and a total systemic collapse is sometimes as thin as a single referee consulting a video screen.
A single decision that alters the entire historical narrative of a nation's tournament.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a concept to mull over as you watch the rest of this tournament unfold. Think about the intense psychological weight of a golden generation.
It is a uniquely heavy burden for all locker room to carry.
Oh, absolutely. When you have a team stacked with back-to-back Champions League winners in their prime, and your entire national identity is built around a 41-year-old living legend playing in his final World Cup, the pressure to win right now is just immense.
Yeah.
Does that kind of suffocating expectation actually stifle creativity and induce panic on the pitch? Or does that intense pressure forge diamonds? As you watch Portugal navigate the knockout stages of this World Cup, ask yourself this. Are you witnessing a team playing with the freedom to win, or are you witnessing a team playing desperately not to ruin a legend's final farewell? Because sometimes, to truly fix the engine, you have to stop worrying about the hood ornament